Don't forget, if you're an Airfix Club member, you can donate your flying hours to Models for Heroes.
So thank you very much for coming back to the channel for the third instalment of the research and development part of the presentation that was given to us, the YouTube creators, on the Creators Day event at Airfix. In this particular episode, we're going to be looking at 3D scanning and how that figures into the development of those new kits that are coming to you from Airfix. It's well worth the watch, very insightful, and I hope you really enjoy it. Grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit down and enjoy.
Right, so as well as researching, part of my role is to go out and get the 3D scans of the aircraft, which you might be aware is something we do to make sure we get accurate and shaped data. So it's a bit of a mystery to everyone. How does 3D scanning work, apart from getting a lovely sort of template at the end? So there are four steps to it. Scouting, so finding the appropriate aircraft to scan. So at this point we know what we're doing, we know what the model is, and we've got to find somewhere to actually scan that. You've got the physical process of scanning it. There's the scanner, my trusty scanner I take all around. And that's the easy bit, that's the really easy bit. The scouting and then the next two steps are the hard bits, essentially. Scanning is going out on jollies, basically. The third step is import and point cloud manipulation, which all sounds very complicated, but essentially you get a lot of data from this. So what it does is sends out a laser pulse and measures how long that takes to come back. A bit like your DIY rangefinder at home, your tape measure, but it does it 3 million times a second. So it's huge, a huge amount of data. It does that for 51 seconds, and then it takes 360 images. So you can imagine the size of the files that I'm getting. If you think your size of the files from today are big, no, get ready for 3D scanning files. It ends up with a thing called a point cloud. So each time it hits something and comes back, that's a point. And 3 million times a second times 51, someone can do the maths. It's a lot. And I do that 30 times around an aircraft. So you end up with a lot of these points, but it's not smart enough to know, I want that Spitfire, I want that Buccaneer. It will get everything. Everything that's around it will get. So I have to crop out what's around it, essentially. And then do something called meshing. So point cloud is pointless, pardon the pun, for the guys like Matt to actually use. You need to create it into a mesh, sort of a lot of little triangles that are all stitched together to work as a template. So to breeze through what we do. So scouting. So for the Buccaneer, I've used as an example here, there are lots of locations you can go to. The actual place we scanned isn't there because the map wouldn't work for Northern Ireland. But imagine it is. We went over to Ulster, the Ulster Aviation Society, and scanned there. XV361, middle image here, with the wings folded up. And we scanned that, not for the 48th, but for the 72nd. Obviously, it's the same template, it's the same aircraft, so you don't have to scan it again just to scale up. But you'll look at all sorts of things when you're going scanning. How accessible is the aircraft is one of the big ones. You know, can I get there? Not only can I drive there, but is there stuff around the aircraft? Is it UK based? Preferable if it is. Again, trying to save those miles. Do we have a good relationship with the museum? There are some museums that don't like us and there are some that do. And we like to go to the ones that do because they're a lot nicer. Is it outside or inside? The worst thing we can do, so we rent this scanner, is hire it, spend all the money, drive up there, and then it pours it down in rain because it will not work. So preferably you're inside, just to avoid any of that will it rain, won't it? And that really is sleepless nights when you hide it. Yes?
Is it because it just has to do with the rain?
Yes, yeah. You will get most of the plane, you just won't get a very good, it won't be clear enough. So it will pick up on raindrops. You end up with a lot of noise around it.
And
it's not great.
The wind is not good as well because aircraft move around a bit in the wind, and the scanner is sensitive enough to pick that up. So when you come to combine all the scans together, it will create lots of fuzzy surfaces where the aircraft is moving around in the wind.
One example of that is when we scanned the TR9 at Biggin Hill, they wanted to have the aircraft half out of the hangar to get a really nice picture with the sun glinting off the wings, and I'm trying to scan it and they're trying to get their videos, and the wings are moving because the Spitfire's wing flexes quite a bit, and it started to look like a hummingbird on my scan because it was picking it up in lots of different positions. So I said, I know your pretty pictures are important, but we need to get the scan, so we had to roll it back in. So essentially, if it's inside, you get rid of all of that, and you can just focus on getting a decent scan. We don't just visit one aircraft either, not just for scanning, but also just researching them. So top ones up there are Teabaggers, the Buccaneer Aviation Group, with a funny name, Cotswolds, and down the bottom is actually our local museum, RF Manson History Museum, and that's one of the most complete cockpits you'll ever find for a Buccaneer. And it actually saved our bacon at the last minute, regards to the rear navigator's cockpit, and there's a screen there that we've never seen because it's so rare that they're actually preserved aircraft. So saved our bacon. Despite the grainy footage here, we are about to play a YouTube video. So no audio in here, unfortunately, and you're about to see a bit more of me. So we put together a little video that sort of explained it. So we were at Kemble the other day, we were presenting the Buccaneer for the first time. And we thought we'd put together a little video that demystifies the whole process, essentially. What do we do? Me setting up a lovely tripod. So it's all really simple. Essentially, it all fits in one backpack. We've got a tripod. We set it up. God, he's taking his time setting up that tripod, isn't he? And we pop it on there, and it sends its 3 million pulses a second. I have an iPad that I then look at, and it shows me in real time the data that we're getting as sort of a snapshot, so I can cater where I can move the scanner to. And there it is, setting up. So I'm looking to get all the aircraft. So when I say we scan it 30 times, I don't do it in the same place. I'm looking to move it around the aircraft and get a full picture. What we then struggle with, especially outside again, is getting the upper surfaces. So I have a tripod that I hire that's absolutely huge. It goes up to 5 meters. That bit of kit is about 50 grand. You're 5 meters up in the air and it's windy. It's not a nice situation to be in. You're watching it go like that, which obviously affects the scan, but more importantly, you're just thinking, right, don't crash on the priceless aircraft and don't crash on me. Don't break the scanner, please. So here we are, a PR9 that we're scanning. Before the rumour mill starts going, it was just for this, so don't worry. Or do worry if you wanted a PR9. So it's going away, you can see it sort of spinning up and it moves around 360 at the same time, picking up all this data. And I also have to get the undersurfaces as well, so I'm constantly crawling around aircraft, moaning about my knees as I try and get under everything and doing all of that. And eventually you end up with a perfect 3D scan. Fingers crossed. Right.
What sort of wavelength does it operate at?
Wavelength, goodness. I know it's a class 1 laser, so it's safe to your eyes.
So really infrared,
Yeah.
mid-infrared.
Yeah, I would have to get the data sheet, which I can do, is upstairs.
That's okay. So that gives you an idea of how accurate the range is. It's half the wavelength, roughly.
Yeah, essentially.
Accuracy.
Yeah, I'll find it. It goes up to about 50 meters. I know we've scanned something before and ended up with a pigeon on a telegraph pole, which is quite funny when you see it. So here's, it just looks like a lot of dots, but if you can sort of see through it, down the bottom here we have a Buccaneer. See the wing fold there? This is a rough scan we did with 4 locations. So as I say, we normally do 30. This was a quick one to try and show you guys what data we get. As I say, it's not smart enough to know we just want that Buccaneer. So it's got a bit of the Hunter that was next to it, the Sea King in the top left there, and all sorts of other stuff. Obviously, there's big black swathes of this picture because it can't see through things. So that's part of why I have to move it around and get as much in as I can. Here's another image of what I see on the iPad, essentially, as I'm going around. Those red dots and the links are where I've scanned. So it automatically knows where it is through lots of camera trickery, picks up fixed points and knows. You can move it and the dot will move. It's all very clever.
That's East Midlands Aero Park.
That is indeed. We did a bit of filming there, didn't we? Not too long ago. So that's the sort of stuff that I'm seeing. And then, as I say, all pointless for that so far. What I need to do is something called meshing. So as I say, this is a rough and ready file, just something to demonstrate it. And you'll see it's rough and ready because we've got a big old triangle at the air intake, and Don't need to be an aircraft spotter to know that's not on the Buccaneer. That's just where an extra point was, and it's trying to mesh it all together. Lots of little triangles, as you may be able to see, that big one there, but also all around it. The top one's been smoothed, which essentially gets rid of this triangle pattern, which is on the bottom there. You can sort of see the difference. And I'm trying to do that and make Matt's life as easy as possible, and the other designers. Also picks up on imperfections. See, there's a bit of a dent on the fairing, which is just the example of don't copy that dent. Might seem obvious, but yeah, someone might. And we've changed how we scan recently, so we don't hire in external companies to do it for us. I go out and about and do it, which means we can scan multiple variants of the same aircraft cost effectively, and hopefully it leads to a more effective, a better model, let's say, more accurate. As I say, there's new possibilities with that. So you can see one of the designers there, Adam, who wanted himself scanned. It's not designed to scan Adam, but he wanted it. It's designed to scan buildings, this stuff. So we went down to Cosford and scanned all their hangar for them, war in the air. So we've scanned the Lincoln, we've scanned everything in that hangar so that they can plan their aircraft movements in 3D. There's a benefit to us. We're not that kind-hearted. Obviously, we don't have the data. If we ever want to do anything in that hangar, we've got the scan. But it allows them to plan, rather than in 2D on paper cutouts, they can do it in 3D and work out wings going over and pitot tubes not clashing. So there's new possibilities. Adam's standing on the Lincoln wing there. And then, just to show you the finished article, is the Buccaneer scan from the UAS. Actually, have the wings down, sorry, when we scanned it. One of the benefits, if you've got a live aircraft, you can get them to put it into different configurations as well. So that's always good. So that's what we end up with. And then Matt works his magic.
So there you go. There's all the information you need as to how Airfix 3D scan real life one-to-one aircraft and then bring that into the CAD work and design process of their new releases, etc. I thought it was really quite interesting little presentation. As I say, I made sure I broke it down into a small section so you could take it all in. A lot of information there. So we've now learned all that we can about Airfix and the internal workings of how you get the kits on your desk. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please make sure you make a comment underneath the video. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel because that helps us immensely in our analytics, and there is more information and more videos to come. Watch out, the next one that will be coming out will be all about Humbrol. You'll need a cup of coffee for that. But for now, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye for now.